Hey, I always get asked questions about buying at the auction. I'm gonna give you 5 tips on what you should know before buying at that auction. That auction is normally an advanced strategy, and if you're a beginner, you can do it. You just need to know what you're doing. Tip number 1, listen. Once you go to the foreclosure auction, you see the address and you run the property. When I mean run the property, run the numbers on the property. Let me rephrase that. You run the numbers on the property and you think that they may work if you can get the property at X price, right? So when you're buying at the foreclosure auction, you need to understand you can't get inside the property. So there's no one to show you inside the property. So you have to run your numbers based off not getting inside the property. This is what happens, and you'll see it once you go down there, but it's not supposed to happen. Yes, unfortunately, investors do break into the houses, or the back door might be open and they go in the property to, get their numbers together. That does happen, but somebody may be living there and you're not getting in, so you have to run your numbers accordingly based off not getting in that property. Remember, I'm assuming if you're buying at the foreclosure auction, you're buying to either get equity in that property and potentially make some money. You're not trying to buy a property that's worth $150,000 for $90,000. You put in 60 and you're like, man, I did all this work for nothing because I'm in the 150 and it's worth 150. So you're buying for equity. You want to buy $150,000 property. I need $60,000 for $50,000, right? You want to buy for $50, you put $60 in. Now you're at $110, it's worth $150. You got $40,000 more for equity. You can sell that property, or if you want to live in it, you know what I mean. You can live in it. You get a home equity line. You can rent it out. You have options once you buy right. All right, but remember, the foreclosure auction, there's no guarantee you can get inside. So keep that in mind. Number 2. All right. Now, some people might say this is probably the most important rule of buying at the foreclosure auction, and I wouldn't argue with them. But you have to know how to do a title search, or you have to have somebody ready to do a title search for you. So some guys, they either do the title search themselves because they know how to do that, and you have another group of guys who they have somebody working down there where they pay to do their title searches. Now, they work some type of agreement out. Let's say that is $150, right? That they have with that person. Now, they might have this person do 3 title searches, and they might buy one of those properties, or they might not buy none. So this is an investment, but it's kind of like an important investment because you want to know what you're buying. You have to know what you're buying. What I mean by that, what if a property is worth $200,000, okay? It's at auction for $3,000. And you're like, yo, it's worth $200,000 at auction for $3,000. Yo, $3,000. And you win it, right? Okay. Well, you didn't do a title search or no research. What you did, you bought HOA, right? Foreclosure. So the HOA was foreclosure. The HOA got the title. The house is worth $200,000. You go to the house and the original homeowners are living there, and you find out that they owe $230,000 on a house that's worth $200,000, and yeah, you own it. So they like, well, you own the house, so they don't need us to pay the mortgage no more. Then what will happen? The first position lien, which is normally the mortgage holder, right? The first position lien. What I mean by first position lien, meaning that it's attached to the property as collateral and they're in first position, okay? Second position could be a second mortgage or a home equity line or something of that nature, right? So the first will foreclose, and then you're wiped out and you wasted your $3,000, and hopefully you don't give up. But the reason why that happened was because of you did not do the proper research up front. If you did the title search, you would have known that, hey, nobody's bidding on this because this is the HOA foreclosure on this property for the $3,000 they're owed, but The reason why nobody's bidding on this because there's a first mortgage in place, and the first mortgage is for $200,000 2 years ago. So unless these people put a significant amount down, there's probably no equity in this thing. And if you have a mortgage, just for your knowledge, you got a 30-year mortgage, you probably won't start paying in equity to year 7 or above. Like year 7, that's when you start to knock down the principal balance. Your first 7 years is majority interest. So you want to know this. And this is a horror story that I heard when I first got into business. A married couple, they bought a house after foreclosure. At least that's what they thought. They fixed up the house. They were going to list the house. And they were getting these letters in the sheriff notice of foreclosure. And they like, nah, we bought it. So they called the foreclosing bank, and the bank let them know, like, oh, well, yeah, you own the house. Well, there was a first mortgage on the property. And what you did, you bought the second mortgage. So now we're going to foreclose and get our money. So those people lost their investment. And what's going to happen is the first mortgage is going to get back a property that's fully renovated because they did not do a title search. That's extremely important. You want to do that title search, okay? You have to know how to do it, or you have to be willing to pay somebody to do it, because you have to know what you're buying. You want to know if you're buying an HOA lien, if you're buying a second mortgage, if it's a home equity line. You need to know. Third, you need to be able to look up the property taxes. That's simple in most places. You can go on the tax assessor's website and see if there's taxes owed on the property. And the reason being, you want to know this information because let's say a house is worth $150, right? You can get it at auction for $70,000, but they got $20,000 in back taxes, right? $20,000 in back taxes, but you can get it for $70,000. You have to calculate that in your numbers. Like, okay, so, because what's going to happen once you buy it at the auction, they'll let you close on it without paying the taxes. So you got to go to the tax office and pay those $20,000 in taxes, you know what I mean? So that everything can be clean, you know? So do your research and make sure that the taxes are up to date, or how much are the taxes, you know, because you don't want to get that property worth $160, you're in at $70, you're like, yo, this thing only need $20,000 worth of work. And then, so you're in at $90 and you realize that it was a $20,000 tax bill that needs to get paid, and it cuts you off guard. You want to know that information going forward to ensure that the numbers still work for you. Okay, so taxes would be number 3. Number 4, you need to find out how many days do you have to close on that property. Every county, state, municipality is going to be different, okay? I'm in North Carolina. They will give you 30 days. You know, you will have to get down there and close with some source of private money source, home equity lines, cash, just some sort of something, whereas you can hurry up and pay. You need to find that out. I know guys in Arizona, they told me that if you win the auction that day, you got to pay that day. So you need to know that information, because in North Carolina, right, once you win, your deposit is already on file. So they get your deposit first, okay? So now your deposit on file, so now you got to close, because when you put that bid in, you have to put your deposit up in North Carolina. And this is a true story. This actually happened in North Carolina, but I know a guy whereas put up like $6,000 or $7,000 to win the property, and he was going to wholesale it, but he couldn't wholesale it because the numbers did not work. So what happens is they take some of that money, you lose some of that money. They're gonna run it to the newspaper and all again. You gotta pay some fees and all that, and they'll give you back what's left. So you want to know how many days do you have to close. You can that's something you'll probably ask first. So don't go by the order of when I'm putting things. Ask that first. Learn the rules of how to play the game. Number 5. All right, this is probably the most important. And the reason why it's the most important, because I've seen this get people caught up and they lose money, all right? They lose money in general in business, in real estate, and definitely that auction, all right? Don't get caught up in emotions. This is a business, and treat it as a business. Don't use your emotions for this, all right? And the reason being, I've seen people go down there and they get in their emotions and they end up losing money. And just to give you an example so that you can understand, they don't pay attention to the hardcore investment numbers. Let's say you can get a property for, the property's worth $300,000, right? Your max bid is $180,000. That's your max bid, right? But unfortunately, somebody else bid 180. So you got emotional. You went, you bid 195, right? They bid 210. Okay, this is a true story I'm telling you. All right, so then you come back, hey, 210. Nah, they ain't getting this for me. I want this property. This is nice. This is flip. Now, mind you, it's worth 300. They go 210. So now you go 220. All right. So now they come back 230. All right. So then you say, nah, I can't let it win. Now it's 240 because you're caught up in your emotions of winning. The property is worth 300,000. The property needs 60,000 in work. Okay, so when the person won this property, they end up not closing on the property and losing some of their deposit and all that because they realized they couldn't make money off of the deal anymore. All right, and their emotions wear down after that. Now, some people actually got the house after the emotion and it turned out worse. This person was able just to, lose some of their deposit. As far as the other people they were bidding against, it was a hedge fund. That person had Wall Street money. So those guys are buying property at 80, 85, 90% of value because they were just renting it out anyway. And they understood at that time the market goes up every month. So they'll automatically get equity. And this mom and pop investor thought they were going to beat that, but they got caught up in their emotions. So don't let that be you. All right. So listen, guys. So those are my 5 tips on buying at the foreclosure auction, guys. I hope that video was helpful. Comment below. Let me know, do you buy at the foreclosure auction? Are you planning to buy at the foreclosure auction? Man, comment below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, man. I'm Nasser, aka the Real Estate Doru. I'm not a guru, I'm a doer because I actually do this business, man. And be sure to click on that video next to me, man. Peace.